This is Lobster De La Hoya, here to annoy you. If you ever been to the Paramount Moore or Neptune Theaters in Seattle, Washington, you know just how special they are. I'm asking you to save your stages by donating at stgpresents.org/donate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with Jeff Reddy, and I am here with Dan Droz. My name is Steve Martin. Welcome to Seattle Today.
That's right. That's right. Seattle Today is here. We are so proud to be joined by the illustrious Mr. Matt Lukin.
I didn't know I was going to be in the graces of Steve Martin.
The Steve Martin. Yeah, right?
Matt, when I found out it was you, I was like, all right, call my driver.
I'm coming.
I'm coming down.
Matt, have you played here before?
Yeah, I think only once. It was like a grunge fest. It was like Nirvana, Tad, and Mudhoney.
I think you guys called it Lame Fest.
Oh, Lame Fest.
I think it's how that.
Not Grunge Fest. Yeah, that was a different.
I think it was called Lame Fest.
Lame Fest. And then we did played together in like months later in London, and it was Lame Fest UK, where it was like because Tad and Nirvana were finishing up a tour while we were just going over there, so we played a show together in London. It was Lame Fest UK. But I remember it was a bit of a wild show. There was the security here was having a tough time keeping the kids off the stage.
Yeah, boy.
And keeping us from fucking with the security while they're doing it.
That's just crazy. So that tour, Mudhoney wasn't on that tour. You went over there for the UK show and then met up with the Tad Nirvana tour?
Yeah, they did a tour together,
right.
And their last show was the one in London, and that was our first show of our tour. So, yeah. And they were all in shambles.
Weren't they all in one van?
Yeah.
Like Jesus.
And like one road crew guy that
One
did
dude.
sound and tour managing and everything.
This is the Nirvana Tad.
Yeah.
Entourage.
Yeah.
And, both acts and one guy
In one van
and one crew,
and one
driver,
dude.
sound guy,
All
most likely.
That's a lot of work for that dude.
Did he sleep at all?
Probably not.
No.
He was having to go find guitars every other day to replace Kurt's smashed guitar.
Did he always smash guitars?
No, but on quite a number of occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he'd just go pick up a cheap.
Did he do the thing where he would buy a cheap one to smash, or did he smash guitars he liked?
No, he just smashed whatever,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, whatever
interesting.
the whatever
Was close at hand.
yeah, whatever he was
Whatever
playing
he
at
was
the
holding.
moment. It wasn't like a Paul Stanley thing
Yeah,
where like
yeah.
I'll just get a Sears guitar to
Totally,
smash.
yeah.
It was like whatever he was playing, and then it's like the next day I'm like, I guess I got to find another guitar so I can play the show tonight.
Jesus. That's awesome.
It's pretty rock and roll.
It is, because if you don't have the guitar replaced beforehand, then you're really you got it the right reason.
Right.
It's like
yeah.
inspired.
You can't you can't go to the other bands and say, hey, can we borrow a guitar? And they're gonna go,
No. Or, I saw what you did with yours.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like when you'd roll into a town and you'd be a local band would be opening. And like, hey, can I borrow your bass amp? And I'm like, you fucking live here. You can't find a bass amp to borrow from one of your friends. I go, I'm touring around. I go, if this thing fucks up, I'm dead in the water. And I go, and you want to borrow it? But I'd always let them.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I always thought that was odd. It's like,
It might have been that they had never really played through a beefy rig before, and then
Maybe.
you show up with the tall, mighty thing, and they're like, "Oh my God, I have to use that."
I want to play through Lukin's Ampeg.
Totally. I want to sound like Lukin. But then they don't sound like you because they're not you.
Because they're not you.
Oh, you're going to have to use my fingers too, Jagoff.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to ask you about, did you grow up in Montesano or in Aberdeen?
Montesano.
And,
But I lived, oh, pardon me. I lived in Aberdeen for a couple years before I moved to Seattle. But yeah, no, I grew up in Montesano, way outside of town.
and Montesano smaller than Aberdeen?
Yeah. It was, I think there's maybe 3,000 population now, but I remember it was about 2,000. Because there would be a sign when you'd roll into town,
Right.
Montesano population 2,000. I'm like, shit. And there's one stoplight.
Right. And you moved, like, was there a high school there?
Yeah. The Montesano Bulldogs.
Right. All right.
Go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And is that where? So that's where you went to high school. That's where where you started that band. What were they called?
The Melvins.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Well, it had a lot of names before that, but we ended
Like
up
what?
Yeah, like outstanding. I have.
The Nerve was an early name. NURV.
All right.
Shoot, I can't remember any of the other ones. But we landed on the Melvins, and then we played a show in Olympia. We're like, well, we better stick with the name instead of keep changing it, because that's like what Nirvana did. Like every other week, they'd have a different name of the band.
Right.
And once they actually put out a single or played a show, they had to stick with whatever name they were. But the Melvins came from this guy who worked at the Thriftway in Montesano.
Yeah.
His real name was Melvin, but Pete Lohman. I don't know if I should probably. Well, this is all true, so it's not like alleged.
It's not fallacy.
Yeah. But Buzz and Mike, the original drummer, worked at that Thriftway. They were like box boys.
Yeah.
And Melvin got busted stealing Christmas trees out the back. Like he would sell them to people and just take it out to the back loading dock and load it in their car and just take the cash and wouldn't like
Just hustle Christmas trees.
Yeah. And he also apparently he never really shopped at the store, and his wife never shopped at the store, but he closed the store a lot, like at night. So I think he would just do his shopping at night and just not ring it up. So he was embezzling from the business for
Their
a long
refrigerator
time.
looked good.
Yeah.
So anyway, he got caught, like, giving someone a free Christmas tree
The
and
backdoor
pocketing
discount.
the money.
Yeah.
And so for some reason, we jokingly decided to call the band the Melvins for a day, and then it stuck. And it was all to do with this guy who was a loser stealing Christmas trees.
That's perfect. And so when you guys were a band, were there a bunch of bands in Montesano?
No.
Were there any?
No. Well, there was like bar bands, like older dudes that would play like, 4 45-minute sets at the
Covers.
covers
Yeah.
at and maybe sneak in an original.
Right.
But and we knew a bunch of those guys, and they would sell us their used equipment that was great, and they would keep in pristine shape.
Oh, really?
And it'd be like, like this one guy, I remember, he was in some cover band, and he had like a Marshall stack, like a nice, perfect, 10 or 12-year-old, whatever, JCM, whatever, whatever, Marshall stack. He sold that for hardly anything, and he bought a Sony or a Rockman.
Of course
the
he
guy
did.
from Boston.
Rockmans.
And he bought like a
Tom.
little PA, and he played through this Rockman.
Yeah.
He got rid of his fucking Marshall. And like someone got him for a fucking great price, but he would sell us like guitar tuners and whatever he was done with
Going through.
and getting the new technology or whatever. Yeah. So I would give him $20 for a guitar tuner. And it's a good story. He had an Ibanez Flying V, like the old one that was like that looked too much like a Gibson, and I think Gibson actually sued him for making stuff better than them.
Right.
Anyway, it was he called it his baby. This is my baby. Pardon me. And he would wear a big belt and with a big belt buckle, and he'd take like a washcloth and like drape it over his belt buckle so he wouldn't scratch up the back of his baby.
Yeah.
And me and Buzz, after a while, just started calling him Baby.
That was his
That's
handle.
what he calls his guitar. And then he had a Les Paul that he put like a big plate, like a plastic pick guard on the back, so his belt buckle wouldn't scratch it. And it's like, well, dude, you just put like 4 screw holes in the back of it. What's worse than like a belt buckle scratch?
I didn't want the road rash from the belt buckle. Come on, that's like a...
So yeah, anyway, that's the the people we
Those are the guys who
are fellow musicians down
in Montesano.
Yeah.
But was that like so? I mean, like, what grade are you guys in when you start the band?
Like about 15, 14.
Yeah.
15, 16, right when I started to learn to drive. What is that, like sophomore?
Sophomore, junior.
Yeah, freshman, sophomore.
So, why did you start a band if there's nobody else other than those dudes, old kind of crusty fuckers? What makes you fuck it? We should start a band. Like, were you musically inclined? Like, did you? It's like you're out in the middle of nowhere and no one else is doing it, and you start the Melvins.
I just kind of liked rock and roll and was into like Kiss growing up and Cheap Trick and Van Halen. And then Buzz moved to town from Morton, Washington, which is even a tinier town than Montesano, because his dad worked in the logging business. Uh-huh. And he played guitar. And my friend that I went to grade school with, Mike Dillard, had a drum set and had a little rehearsal room up above their garage that his dad built for him. that you couldn't really stand up in because it was in
A-frame.
the attic. Yeah. You could stand up right in the middle. But we'd hang out there and whatever, rock out. And and those were the only two people that I really knew from high school that played music.
Right.
And so we just kind of hooked up or whatever. And Dillard's cousin, Dave Parkinson, he played bass at first. He had a bass and a little shitty bass amp, and I had a guitar and a guitar amp, and that's how we hooked up. Because it's like, oh, you have a Les Paul? Because I bought a Les Paul Gold Top for like $200 from some guy when I was in high school. I scrounged the money together. And so all of a sudden the word got around that like, ooh, Lukin has a Les Paul. Let's invite him over and have him join our band.
All right. Make us look good.
Yeah. But it's like, after a while, Dave would never show up to play bass. So Buzz was like, why don't you play bass? I'm like, oh, okay. So I'd grab Dave's bass and start playing bass.
How long did you guys do that before, like, so you're 15 or 16. How long do you do that before you play a show?
A couple of years. I mean, like, I don't know if it would be considered a real show, but it would be like some fundraiser for the Sunshine Boys or whatever in Aberdeen, where it'd be this like holiday event where, like, you know, people would show up and tap dance and they just do a live broadcast and have music people or whatever. And
so, you guys?
So we showed up and we went in there and earlier in the day to kind of suss it out, and they didn't have a PA or anything. It was just all direct into the radio. And we're like, oh, well, fuck, we're not going to really be able to even hear ourselves. So we went back and got all of our amps and a PA and set it up in the room and just...
Live onto the radio.
Yeah. And this was when the Melvins were playing, like, really fast punk rock, 2-minute songs, one in, like the Ramones, one into the next.
Right.
And I remember my mom recorded it on the radio, and it was... the commentators or the hosts or whatever, like, we'd finish a song and they'd start talking and we'd go blasting it, and they're like, okay. And then after about 4 songs, they just like turned us off, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go back to some more traditional music that we play on this radio. And they played like I don't know, a Barry White song or something.
Right. some more tap dancing.
Yeah.
And now for the clog review.
I see some like facility maintenance guy with the power cord in his hand, and you guys are like, oh, we're done now, I guess. It's like,
that's awesome.
But yeah, and we just kept playing. I don't know. We played our whole set, and then we were done. And then this other band comes in that was like the Aberdeen High School gold band or
jazz band,
whatever. But fucking Crover was in the band at the time, and he
really,
yeah. We didn't meet him till a few years later, but he was like, "Yeah, man, I saw you guys at the fucking whatever, the Sunshine Boys charity thing." Yeah. He was quite impressed, I guess.
But he was jealous.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I remember he had really thick glasses.
He did?
Yeah.
Like when he saw you guys?
Yeah.
And you remember seeing him?
Yeah. And he had like, long blonde hair and these really thick glasses. He looked like someone from
Oliver?
Yeah.
From the
Brady exactly.
Bunch?
Yeah. From
Totally.
some sitcom. I'm like, who's this kid?
Yeah. But he played really loud in the orchestra.
Well, we didn't hang out much for what they were doing.
Yeah.
And but like years later, or a few years later, or maybe not even a year later, but we were looking for a new drummer because Dillard was too involved with his girlfriend and his cars. And we asked Novoselic, you know a few drummers in Aberdeen, don't you? So he took us around to a couple to meet a couple of them, and then we came across Dale.
That's the one. We'll take that Oliver looking motherfucker.
And one of the ones was the dude that was the first drummer in Nirvana.
Aaron? What's his?
Oh, right.
No,
right.
He wasn't Aaron Burkhart.
Yeah.
He had a big
wasn't.
mustache.
Oh.
Novoselic took him around to his house, and he was having a barbecue that day, and there was like a bunch of Aberdeen bros with their shirts off, and like, yeah. We're like, yeah, I don't know if he'll fit in. But he's a great drummer and a good dude. I've been friends with him for a long time. But
So when do you meet Novoselic? When does that, how does it go from Montesano? Where does that cross?
Oh, that's a pretty good story. He worked at a taco time. And the menu, the one in Aberdeen, it had like hyphenated spellings of like it'd say the word taco, and then it would have it in parentheses like taco.
What?
Like phonetic?
Yeah, phonetically. I go, what? They don't think we know how to pronounce taco? We're so fucking dumb down here.
This is for the Montesanans, obviously.
Right. I mean, come on, because you're not in Aberdeen yet. So.
Well, no, the taco time was in Aberdeen.
Right,
Oh, okay. All right. My mistake.
But it's 10 miles away. At the time, Montesano didn't have any fast food places. And I think the only fast food place they have now is a Subway or a Chubway. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so a friend of ours, a guy from Aberdeen that got kicked out of Aberdeen High School for setting a pipe bomb off in the lunchroom. He had to relocate and go to Montesano. Uh-huh. And he lived up the road from Buzz at his aunt's house. So we befriended him.
Obviously.
Boomer. That was his nickname.
That's perfect. the pipe bomb guy.
So he worked at the taco time at the same time Novoselic did, and me and Buzz stopped into the taco time one day in Aberdeen, and Boomer's working there, and there's this weirdo tall guy in the back, and it was right around the holidays, and he's like singing really loud like Christmas carols along with the whatever the music that's being played, and we're like, who's that fucking nut back there? And he's like, oh, that's my friend Chris or whatever, blah blah blah. He plays guitar, and so like we start talking and just become friends or whatever because we kind of had similar views.
Yeah. And so what year is that? Is it like are you still in high school?
Nah, this would have been just after high school, so probably 84.
Yeah.
Because I graduated in 83, so I think I was out of high school at this point.
Yeah. And was Chris already in a band, or was he just?
No, he was just some dude that played guitar and that was way into communism and vegetarianism and that kind of. I go,
working at Taco
a
Bell.
Weird hippie guy that plays guitar that lives down here.
Yeah. So you guys are already a band, and so how do the Melvins and Nirvana, two of the most important bands of the 21st century, both come from the middle of nowhere? How does that happen?
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Unless you want to fish and hunt and watch football.
Shoot guns.
Yeah. Which I did plenty of.
Sure.
But yeah, it wasn't. By the time I got a driver's license, I'm like, and I'd go out and stay out late on Friday and Saturday nights. I'm like, I don't want to get up early and go hunting, go marching around the woods in the rain with my dad and brother. And then I got more into music. So.
And when did you figure Melvins started playing, like outside? Like when were your first like not real gigs, but like when did it start sort of like? When did you get a following? Like, when did you get to Seattle? When did you get to Olympia? Like
right. No, well, we played a few house parties around Grace Harbor that didn't go over too well. They just
Why?
saw us as a novelty. Yeah, look at these weirdos. And play some CCR.
All right.
But no, our first real show was in Olympia at this club that was opened up called the Tropicana. That I think it was a bunch of Evergreen students, and they'd have punk rock bands play through there and a lot. And that was where some promoter dude from Seattle saw us at a show down there, so he started booking us at shows in Seattle.
And had you already gone from the punk rock fasty thing to kind of more what it turned out to be?
At that point, no, we were still punk rock fasty.
Yeah.
But we'd intermix a few slow songs here and there. But soon after that, we were really influenced by Black Flag Side 2 of My War.
Okay.
And Black Sabbath, and
At the same time.
And all of a sudden, everything got like really slow, and all the kids that liked us were like, flipping us off. Fuck you, play some fast stuff.
Right.
It's like anybody can play 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. So is it mostly Sabbath that's where the slow,
Yeah, there was other bands too that were like real kind of arty farty, like slow, just droning on kind of bands. Like there was a band called Gore, I think from Holland, that was similar. And then the Swans.
Yeah.
There was a record or EP or two that was just like really slow, and but yeah, I think it had more to do with Black Flag Side 2 when they started getting really slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, kids hated it. Fuck you, play fast again.
Like how did you like flip a switch? Like one show you're like doing the thing, and then the next show you're.
No, it was gradual. Because we always had like, kind of slow drudging on songs that we would throw in here and there in between the,
the machine gun stuff.
the 100 miles an hour.
Right. The Ramones. Yeah. So you figure when you're not in the Melvins anymore, how long was it between when you were in the Melvins and when were you in any bands between the Melvins and Mudhoney?
No. There were side project things that we would do when I was in the Melvins that would just be friends that would come by our practice space that were friends of Dale's. And we had there was 3 or 4 different fucking, just joke bands.
Yeah.
But
jamming.
Yeah, just goofing around. But yeah, other than that, no, it was pretty soon after I was ousted from the Melvins that Mark called me and said he was putting together, after Green River broke up, he was putting together Mudhoney, or what ended up being Mudhoney. He's like, hey, you want to come up and jam? And I even I remember the phone conversation. I remember going I go, yeah, man. I go, let's give it a try. I go, Dale might be looking for a job too. You need a drummer? And they're like, oh, no, we already have this guy Dan drumming or whatever. Meanwhile, I didn't know that Dale was still hooked up with Buzz. I'm thinking I'm trying to get Dale a gig.
You're doing him a solid.
Yeah.
And he's already like.
And they're already down in San Francisco. Rehearsing songs and playing shows with Buzz's new girlfriend that replaced me.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Even after I called him on it.
I think I saw that lineup at the Central. I think I saw that Melvins lineup at the Central.
With Lori and...
yeah, I think she was...
I might have been at that show, too.
That might have been a Mudhoney Melvins show at the Central.
Oh, I know we played with them a few times. Yeah, because I was pretty bitter at first, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I even called him on it. I go, I heard Lori's playing bass, and you guys are relocating to San Francisco. And he's like, No, man, I'm quitting the music business. If Dale wants to move down to San Francisco, that's up to him. Next thing I know, they're all living in the same house, and they're playing shows. And I go, you guys have already been fucking rehearsed.
As the Melvins.
Yeah.
And did you guys have records out already? You did, right? They're like a couple.
Yeah, an EP and an album. Yeah.
It's not like a project.
Yeah. And I was like, because I knew Buzz wanted to move to San Francisco because he was going out with Lori, and but I didn't know they were conspiring for her to take over as bass player. Because Buzz knew I didn't really want to move to San Francisco.
And you probably didn't want to have sex with him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Well, that was one of my things. Was like, hey, I got kicked out of the Melvins because I didn't have a pussy. But so yeah, they moved down there. At the last minute, I'm like, well, I'd be willing to move down there if you want to relocate the band. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. I'm quitting the music business. I'm just moving down there for Lori. Well, next thing I know, Dale's down there and they're playing shows, and I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then I would berate them every once in a while on the phone when someone, when you would get those the phone
cards.
Phone cards, yeah. Stolen from some high school or library or whatever that was their credit card. I'd be somewhere like in Denver at midnight, all drunk, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking call Buzz.
Yeah, boy.
I mean, give him a bunch of shit.
Is that while you're on tour with Mudhoney?
Yeah.
You're still mad, and you're in Mudhoney. It's like, fuck those guys. Well, at least
I'm not mad, or I pine away, but every once in a while, I'm like, I need to let him know.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so what was how long between when they moved and when Mark calls?
Oh shoot, probably less than a year.
Yeah, and you knew Mark through just playing shows with Melvins.
Yeah.
So you guys played with the Green River and.
Yeah. And he was in Mr. Epp before that.
Oh, Jesus! And who else was in that band?
Smitty, Joe Smitty Osborne was the singer, and Todd Y was a bass player, and the drummer, he was a really good drummer. I can't remember his name, but he ended up being in this band called Steel Pole Bathtub from Montana.
Oh yeah.
He moved out there. What was his name? Anyway, since the last time I've seen him, I've heard through mutual friends that he's a woman now.
She's a she.
It's a shim. Huh. And I'm like, what? And he was bald at the time, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if he has hair. Or she has hair now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I don't think it'd be fair if she had hair, because dudes don't get to have hair if they're bald. I want more hair. So and the Mudhoney thing just sort of how badass was that? From the get-go, sort of.
It was never. We never had any intention of
inclination to
or thinking that we were gonna do. Yeah, we'll get together and jam and write some songs and maybe put out a single. That was about our aspirations or whatever, but then it just kind of caught on or whatever. And plus Mark and Steve were good friends with Bruce Pavitt.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much a straight door to get a single out.
Right. Excuse me. And God, because when I first started playing in bands in 1988, right at the end of there, Mudhoney was like Nirvana before Nirvana was. Mudhoney was everybody talked about. They didn't talk. Mother Love Bone was whatever, but Mudhoney was the band that was the coolest thing there was. I don't know. Bands weren't really doing it to be like you said. You were going to put out a single. Maybe you get to make a record. That'd have been great. And you'd already.
Yeah, that was the only real aspiration. Well, maybe we'll put a record out.
And it was really strange, like to see, like, you know, just a couple years later, Alice in Chains is on MTV.
Right, yeah.
And touring with Van Halen. You know, and it's like, so like what, I mean, you guys were right there. And I just saw the documentary.
We were just below the top 4.
Well, but before those guys got on the elevator, you were like a couple floors above them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if it was going to happen to anybody, it seemed like it was going to happen to you guys. And what was that like? You know, just what was it like that like people all paid fucking attention?
Going from what you mean? Going from having Nirvana open for us to us having to open for Nirvana?
Not necessarily that, because I mean,
Hey, go for it, boys.
enjoy. But the part where like they're opening for you and you guys are like, I mean, you guys were the top of the pyramid for the Seattle thing. I mean, Soundgarden they were always sort of older, it seemed like, or like more. They were that.
They were fishing to the metal crowd.
Yeah.
Working up the audience. Hey, come on, let's dance.
Do it.
But not to sidetrack.
No, not at all. I just like, God, I don't know. I'm not even sure what my question is. I mean, I don't even really have a question. It was just that Mudhoney was amazing. It was just that you weren't doing it. Nobody was doing it to get famous, but you guys were like the first band that was sort of famous in the city. Like you were famous here. And,
right.
And then the world started paying attention.
Right.
And before Nevermind came out, and before, you know, like when you guys played that show in London, they fucking shit their pants, right?
Well, yeah, that's due to the English press. 'Cause they're so weird. They build everything up and make it seem so much more spectacular than it is.
Yeah.
And then when they don't like you, they cut you down. But yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just like,
yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I was just kind of going along for the ride.
That's been a fun ride, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm a kid from fucking Montesano.
Dude, well, that's sort of what I'm, you know, like, what the fuck? You're like, you know, like what year was it when that was 88, that UK show? The Lame Fest UK?
No, it would have been 89 or 90.
Yeah, okay. 89, 90 sounds right.
Because, we weren't a band until after 88, I think.
Okay.
My first rehearsal with them was on New Year's Day after I came up for a New Year's Eve show. It was Alice Cooper and Motorhead was supposed to be opening, but they got stuck up at the border or something, and it ended up being Faster Pussycat. I'm like, I gotta watch Faster Pussycat.
Where was that?
At the Coliseum.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the
Or
Coliseum.
the Key Arena or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called now. Unless it's the Mercer Arena. It was one of the big sheds. But I ended up staying at a friend's house, and that was when I went and first rehearsed with them or jammed with them. And I knew Steve and Mark, but I didn't know Dan. And they picked me up in a car, and there's this guy in the back that's the drummer. And I'd seen his bands before. He was in this band, Bundle of Hiss. It was like a real kind of new wave band. I remember like laughing about him.
And then there's dude.
Yeah, I get in the back seat of the car, and he's wearing a beret, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing there, mister?" And I'm like, I know you." But we became fantastic friends.
Yeah.
Till he started snoring too much.
Oh, did you have to room together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't stand rooming with anyone else.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm stuck with Dan.
I'm stuck with the snorer.
And he's like, he needs a CPAP.
Yeah. Does he have one now?
He might.
Yeah.
I know
Right.
him and his wife have separate rooms. Well, like one will go sleep in the other one because
Yeah.
he's snoring so loud. But now that they have 3 kids, maybe they don't have an extra room.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't sleep either.
I don't think I'll admit it now. I would hate for him to know, but that was kind of like I came to my wits' end. I'm like, I don't like rooming with anyone else except Dan, and I can't sleep because he snores so fucking bad. I got to quit this band.
that was the end of the
Really?
tour.
Is that really how you? Is that what it? Okay. All right.
No, it wasn't really. But I would do things because he's fucking deaf. And
Drummer, man.
yeah.
Those cymbals are loud.
And so he can't hear anything. So he cranks the TV up to 10, and he props up all these pillows, behind his head in the hotel bed. TV's, cranked way up, and he falls asleep. And I'm like, motherfucker. He's got all the lights on, the TV's blasting, and he's fucking snoring away, having a wonderful time.
Having a great time.
And so one of my tricks is, because he'd leave the curtains open and shit and whatever. So I'd go and close the curtains, but I'd leave the one part open so the sun would come right down on his face
Right on
in the
him.
morning.
Good morning, buddy.
Who opened the curtain?
I made a couple of videos of him fucking snoring away. And I should try to digitize them and then put them on Instagram. Just to shame him.
Yeah.
But I digress. Did I?
No. Those are the good stories. That's the good stuff. What do you have a favorite tour you guys did? Or favorite band? Like, did you guys open for a lot of bands?
Yeah. Well, Sonic Youth took us on tour like early on. And that was good because they were good people, and it exposed us to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my favorite tour?
Like, did you get to go on tour with any heroes? Like,
No, not really. We did this festival tour in Australia, and like Iggy Pop and Nick Cave. And I was never much of a fan of Nick Cave. I always made fun of him, but the rest of the band liked him. I'm like, hey, I hate the fucking birthday party, whatever. And so, no, we did this tour called The Big Day Out.
Oh, yeah.
In Australia, and it was like there was a lot of cool bands, and I got along with most of them, and that was probably the funnest. But it was like Sonic Youth, Iggy Pop, the Beast of Bourbon. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Mm-hmm. They're an Australian band, but there was a few others. Anyway. It was just a fun time because, hey, you're down in Australia getting drunk and blah, blah, blah. And we'd usually play pretty early in the day because there was, the Cramps. The Cramps weren't involved with that one. That was a different one. Anyway, we would play early on, so once we were done, we would just hang around and watch the other bands and get wasted. And Mark, knowing that I wasn't a big birthday party or Nick Cave fan, he said one day he looks over and because the backstage area was back in this field and there was long grass beyond, and he looks over and he sees me and Nick Cave rolling through the grass like wrestling and fighting.
Ouch.
And Mark's like, what the fuck?
Is he kicking?
Matt fucking attacked Nick Cave? No, Nick Cave attacked me. He just came running over and grabbed me, and we went rolling through the grass. I'm like, okay, because I wrestled in high school, so I'm like, all right, dude, you want to play?
You're gonna lose.
And he did that to me a couple of times on that tour. And there was one time, I guess, some TV cameras from a local TV show. This is like out in Perth or something, that were doing some interviews with, the local event. And I guess they were like Nick Cave attacked me, and I grabbed him and threw him to the ground. And I'm just jamming my elbow in his face. And his bandmates had to pick me up off of him. But it's all lit up, and it's like
It's fully lit.
You should have made him tap out. You should have made him tap out.
Say, Uncle.
yeah.
Say you like to eat red carpet.
And since then, I've become a huge Nick Cave fan.
All right, so I'm just curious. So, like, you play, you're hanging out, watching the bands, you're drinking, and then, like, Nick Cave is. Are there words first,
Yeah,
or does
why
he
did-
just like?
why
Does
did
he
he
T-bone
attack
you?
you?
Does he like sideblind you? How does that?
Sideblinded me, just like he just comes running and just tackles me, and we go rolling.
And had you guys met?
Before then,
Yeah. Had there been any interaction?
not really. I mean, we were on the same bill a couple of times before that, but I don't remember any actual like. Hey, my name's Matt. My name's Nick. Whatever.
He just came at you.
He just came
Guns
at me.
blazing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
he's like,
So was that like a tour, like the whole festival went around together, like multiple stops in Australia?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I think it was only like 4 or 5 because they only
That's
have
all the-
4 or
yeah, that's
5
all- yeah,
major
yeah,
cities.
right.
But before that, we played a couple of shows up on the north, like Gold Coast area, where it was just Iggy Pop and the Beast of Bourbon and us,
Yeah.
and that was kind of a whatever pre-shows before the festival started.
Right. And he just attacks you. The haircut attacks you. That's amazing.
Me and Dan got to be good friends with Jerry A, though, from Poison Idea,
Yeah.
because he did something with the band The Hard-Ons. Like,
Okay.
he did a record with them, so, like, he'd go out and do half their set, like, sing half their set. So he was just hanging out in the same hotel we were. Dude loves to drink.
Is this in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know anybody down there. So we run into him in the lobby or whatever. He's like, "Hey, you want to come by for some drinks?" Me and Dan would just
Yes.
sit there and get wasted with him.
And you'd never met him before either?
No, not really officially. I'd seen Poison Idea a few times before that, but no, I never really got to hang out with him.
Yeah.
And he was telling me and Dan, because he's kind of a larger person.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Tom Pegg, the guitar player from Poison Idea,
Yeah.
apparently they had such a high tolerance for alcohol, and they were so big that, like, drinking, it would take them all day
Just to get there.
to get drunk.
Yeah.
So they started doing, like, brandy enemas.
Whoa.
They were way ahead of the curve on that, right? I guess the kids do that now.
Is that
They
something?
fill tampons with vodka and stick them up their ass. Because it's like you don't have to. They do that to go to the school dances now.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they don't stink like booze.
Right, yeah. Well, it's,
What?
Sorry,
No, it's all fine.
That's a lot of work.
I'm not making it
No,
up.
I am. See, I knew you weren't because
Why
you
would you?
couldn't, so right.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, but if you think about it, it was a lot of work to get drunk before school dance before.
it was pretty easy.
But I mean, you'd have to not stink when you pay for your ticket.
oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's when you
Hold your
drink
breath.
vodka
Right.
and then eat peanut butter.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I never thought about that. That'd be
Apparently,
perfect.
peanut butter masks
So
the
they-
alcohol.
So they were doing brandy enemas. Were they giving them to themselves, or they probably
Yeah,
give them to each other?
themselves, or maybe each other. I don't know. He just said, he's like, yeah, you get fucked up real fast.
Right, straight into the bloodstream, baby.
Yeah. He goes, it's the most
Efficient.
absorbing membrane in
yeah,
the body
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, your rectum.
Well, suppositories.
What, man? That's accurate.
I'm just trying to
Accurate.
visualize it for some horrible reason. I'm
don't
not
know.
sure why.
You should
but
probably
I'm
just
trying to
stop that
visualize it.
now.
I'm like,
Some big overweight guys
I know.
jamming some pipe up their ass.
maybe they called Boomer from the old days to help out. Oh God, too good.
We could try that one time here. I mean, if we get popular.
Well, we'll do that. We'll do that at the Three Trees studio facility instead.
Yeah, maybe not at the Moore Theater.
Take an enema.
Yeah,
We're way too
brandy
classy.
enema.
Yeah, we're way too classy for that.
Yeah. I don't think I think that's actually against the law in this.
It is.
This county, which is probably best. How many times have you been put in Instagram
In jail.
In Instagram jail?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many?
Well, I just had one taken down last night.
Was that the one
before of my ass?
Oh, I saw that one.
Yeah, it stays up for a day or two, and then it's like, we've
decided.
Yeah, we've decided this is this violates our social or our community whatever rules.
Yeah. That one wasn't very subtle.
No,
That one.
no, and it's never really anything that's like sexual, but it's like it just shows some body parts that you're not supposed to apparently show.
I think the reason they kick you off is not because you're showing it, but the way you show it makes people wonder what the picture is and stare at it for about 5 minutes until you realize, well, wait, those are feet, so that must be. Oh my God! Damn it, it's a penis.
Can't you just if you?
Dude, it's fully Where's Waldo. You got me on the last one, where I don't even know what was down in that hole. It was like kind of like it looked like some sort of old sink downstairs, and you're and it took me a long time
the siding of my house.
Yeah, you get the little Where's Waldo, like the little, and I'm just like, what?
Right,
that's the only thing I can get away with now. Is like where I cover up my head and just yank out my shaft and take a picture.
Yeah. But it's just like this much of the middle of it, so it's like it's sort of like the thing in the Hangover movies. What is that? Is that a spider's nest? Is that a bite of some sort? It's like
I feel like if you label it art, they couldn't take it down.
Totally right. Yeah.
Dude, that's my thing.
Yeah, it looks like art. Right up until the fact that
it could be a stick that I'm just jamming in my pants or something.
Totally.
But no, I get upset about I'm posting art and they keep yanking it down. Meanwhile, people are posting all this hatred.
Yeah.
Spewing fucking. And I go, how come that gets by, but my lovely ass doesn't.
Yeah, the hatred will fly, but a little bit of crack is, and you're gonna shut it down. I don't think that Steve's had the honor. Oh no, yeah.
I like to push the envelope.
It's awesome. Well, this last one.
I'll tell you what,
is it still on here?
If you find that, I'm definitely going to put my glasses on for it.
Oh, I love, like your Bernie meme was the best one of all.
Oh, Bob sent me that.
Dude,
I don't know how to fucking do Photoshop.
It's this right here, Steve. This is where's that one. Like I still can't tell what the hell are these stairs or is that siding?
No, that's siding.
That's siding. Okay.
That's the side of my house.
Here, take this. Take it and look at it until you figure out what it is. It's like I couldn't really figure it out. I'm like, you got me. It's exactly the look. Show. I
gotta see this.
Show Dan.
It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you. It's like, where's Waldo? It's totally like, where's Waldo? And I sort of knew. I'm like, I shouldn't stare.
I know. I mean, it's too because you're like, at first I'm like, why is this so controversial? And then you're like, oh,
it's like, and your eyes are really wide open because you're trying to figure out what it is, and then you get a full double eyeball.
Too good.
Of the angry inch,
Too good.
Yeah, now I play around to see how long those last up on social media before they get yanked down.
Yeah. If anybody needs to, go ahead.
I think only 2 times I've been permanently removed, where they just shut down my whole account.
Yeah.
And it's usually because a picture that I put up and they yank down. And then as soon as I have access to post things again, I put the same picture
You put it
up.
right back up.
And then I just keep doing it.
Because fuck them.
And then they're like, yeah, finally.
Yeah.
This guy isn't learning anything. And I'm like, oh, sweet. I got kicked off my Instagram again.
I'm going to give you an Instagram timeout. Fuckers. If anybody wants to see it, it's at Matt Lukin Good.
I go, I don't think it's anything I can get arrested for.
No.
So I'll just keep looking.
Oh.
I don't know. The ass wasn't that bad.
Right, I know. Dude, I see like lingerie ads and
Dude.
stuff that like expose more than I do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're sponsored and they're up there. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just find it fun. I'm like, I don't give a fucking shit about fucking
Perfect.
social media.
There's a song named after you.
Oh,
So fucking killer. Like, I don't even care what band it is, but there's a song named after you. And so how does that happen?
I remember me and my friend Per were hanging out at my house, getting high and drinking beer. And Vedder calls me up, and it was during the stretch where there was this stalker chick that was stalking him.
Yeah.
And he was like, I didn't want to go home or whatever. He's like, hey, can I come by your place for a bit? And I'm like, yeah, come on over. We're just getting high, whatever. So he comes over and he sits on the couch and he's sitting there with his notebook. And me and Per carrying on. And he was talking to her. It was right after that song, Spin the Black Circle, which I think is on Vitology or something. One of the and I'm bitching at him. I go, "You guys finally wrote a rock song." I go, "Now you need to cut about 4 minutes off the end of it and make it a nice little tight fucking, number." So I think that's what inspired him to write that song. But yeah, whatever. Every once in a while, I get a text from him. He's like, "Yeah, we did a show in blah blah blah, Cincinnati or something. There was a lot of Lukin signs in the crowd."
That is so cool.
Because the song's about hanging out in your kitchen.
Yeah. Because it was like,
And it's like a minute and 40-second song, right?
him escaping his stalker and like coming over and hanging out and hiding out at my house.
Yeah.
From her, but like, yeah. And then I remember one night, I think my friend Ross from the Cosmic Psychos, Australian dude, was in town, who's good friends with Vedder as well. But he was in town and they were playing like at the Coliseum or Key Arena or something. He sends me a text and invites me down to the show. And I go to Ross, I go, "You want to go downtown and see Pearl Jam?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm pretty good in your kitchen." So we just stayed in my kitchen and drank beer. And after the show, Vedder showed up. Him and his wife at the time, Beth, came by my house and we're sitting around drinking beer. And it was after 2 at one point. And so we were out of beer. And Vedder gets on the phone and calls because he had some off-duty cops being security guys at his house because of the stalker chick.
Yeah.
And so he has one of the cops go in his house and grab a bottle of vodka and bring it
Run
over
it up.
to my house. Yeah.
You got people on the pay.
Well, that dude, yeah. And I remember telling him, I go, "Dude, you got this problem now." I go, "But fucking 10 years. I go, "You'll have a big bank account and you won't have to worry about it." And he's like, "I got to wait 10 years?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, whatever, dude."
Lighten up.
Waited 6 months.
Yeah.
And then now, our mutual friend Todd, the loveliest man.
Todd Crane?
Yeah, the loveliest man in the world.
Is he Bob Crane's son?
One of
From
them.
Hogan's Heroes?
Maybe. He told me that who ended up at your house? Is it Bradley Cooper?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right around Christmas.
You know, the gigantic movie star Bradley Cooper.
Well, Ross comes to town.
Who's Ross?
Ross from the Cosmic Psychos,
Oh, okay.
the Australian dude. Him and his wife flew to Vegas to get married and then spent their honeymoon in my house. So they came up for a visit. So whenever Ross is in town, Vedder always shows up.
All right.
So anyway, we're all in the kitchen having beers and blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I had this dog, Lexi, who was quite protective. And I had the front door open and just the screen door shut, and Vedder comes walking in. He's like, "Oh, this is my friend Bradley." And my dog just lunges at him. And I grab her and throw her to the ground. And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, come on in," blah, blah, blah. And another friend of mine that I hadn't seen in like 20 years from Calgary was in town because the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, were playing the Seahawks.
Right.
And he was a big Eagles fan. So he was in town with his son, who was like 18. And they came by. He was like, "Hey, you want to, hook up somewhere at a bar?" And I'm like, I'm kind of got a full house. I go, "Why don't you come by the house?" So he comes by, and we're all kind of hanging out. And everyone's in the kitchen, and the 18-year-old kid, like, I'm sitting in the dining room or whatever, drinking a beer, and the kid goes like, "Hey, Matt, do you think it's okay if I take a picture of Bradley?" And I go, no press. Thinking like, don't be fucking popping off pictures and bum out my friend Eddie. Right. And then I go, "Oh, wait, who?
Who's Bradley?"
Yeah, who's Bradley? And he's like, "Bradley Cooper. He's standing in your kitchen." And I go, "Hollywood's here?"
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, he's in the kitchen talking to Ross and Ross's wife, who are from Australia. And she's asking him what he's in town for. And he's in town because he's from Philadelphia. He's in town for the football game. And she's like, "Where's Philadelphia?" And Ross is like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I just kind of been writing and, doing some theater acting and blah, blah, blah." And Ross is like, "Oh, good on you, mate." He's like, "Yeah, the theater is where you really learn your chops and, good luck to you." Meanwhile, the guy's a total fucking movie star at the time. So he's like standing around my kitchen. No one knows who the fuck he is.
But he loved it.
Standing in your kitchen got him ready for A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Got him ready for that role.
Well, Todd was telling me that, like, you invited him over and he, like, waved it off. And you told him the next day that guy, like, Todd would have known who he was.
Oh, Todd waved it off?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Todd would have probably been all into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There was one time, I think it was a New Year's Eve. It was when I was, like, pretty settled in at home. I get a call from Vedder saying that, having a little party over here. Ron Wood's showing, because the Rolling Stones were in town.
Okay.
He's like, "Yeah, Ron Wood's showing up," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, couldn't be bothered. And I didn't go, and I'm like, I regret it now.
Maybe.
but I thought it would have been funny. I would have grabbed a couple of Rod Stewart records and brought them over, even though it would have been probably records that Ron Wood isn't even on. But like, "Hey, can you sign these?"
Totally. How did you get to be, like, how is Vedder such a guy who just calls you up?
I don't know.
Just happened?
Because I don't bother him. He lives in the neighborhood, and it's fun to just hang out in my kitchen and drink beer.
Yeah. That's killer. He's just a guy drinking beer in your kitchen.
Yeah.
That must be really nice for him.
Oh, dude, and probably. And I don't treat him like a rock star.
Totally.
I make fun of him the whole time.
He needs that.
You and your fucking band.
Right?
But when I lost my phone about a year ago, I lost his number. So I texted my friend Bob, who's a mutual friend. Bob Whitaker, by the way.
Sure.
I go, "Hey, what's Vedder's number?" So he texts it to me, and I write it down, and I put it in my phone, and I start texting the number. And just fucking with him or whatever, as I usually do, sending him a bunch of stupid pictures. And I get these texts back like, who is this? And I go, it's fucking Lukin. I go, your worst nightmare, blah, 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 whatever. And then I realized, oh, shoot, wrong number. I typed it in wrong.
Like, please stop sending me pictures of your Johnson.
So the other day with that Bernie picture that Bob had sent me, I went to forward it to Vetter, and I forgot, and I just went straight to his name. And I'm sending him that picture and a couple other things, and I get back like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "Oh shit, it's the wrong number."
Same wrong number.
Yeah.
Did we ever find out who that number belonged to?
No, I don't know if it's a chick or a dude or a young kid or an old person.
We should call
I
that.
don't know.
We should call that person.
number.
You want to find out? We could call it right now. we got a thing where we can set your phone up. They probably. We could call them, find out who the hell they are.
Should we try?
Let's try it.
Let's definitely try.
Might have to come over here to.
Yeah, no, let me see.
Let's not call the right one.
Right. Yeah. No, he's listed under the Pope now, as opposed to his real name. So the guy that's his real name is the guy that, or the girl or whoever. Dude, where the fuck is it?
Can we, if we get the person, can we tell them that how far off is the number?
It's not very far off. It's just the last 4 digits are kind of flip-flop because I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, less Dixic.
I sent. He's like, "Who is this?" And I sent him a picture.
So should we call him and talk to him?
Sent him a picture of Freddy Krueger having a smoko. Dude, should we?
Is this an iPhone?
Yeah. Oh, it's on the
You
bottom.
just plug it in the bottom. Flip it. There's a tab.
In the middle of the bottom.
Sorry.
It's my favorite feature on the phone is that little mechanical flap.
Little trap door.
Yeah. Yeah, my friend Mike talked me into getting a iPhone when I had to get a new phone. And I'm like, I don't know how it works.
Now we're sure we're going to fire this up, right? We're going to try him, see what the fuck.
Give him a go.
Yeah.
What should we say? Maybe it's a she. Maybe it's a hot chick.
Should we tell her? Should we
Is
tell
it
the
on,
story?
hey, Jeff, you got to.
What do you need?
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Oh, she's
yeah,
got
no,
me. She or he's got me blocked.
Yeah. Right.
What?
Shot enough of you, man. Someone almost found out their phone number is almost exactly the same as Ed Ved's.
Oh, and I got
What else did you send him?
shark repellent.
What is it? Hold on, I can't see.
What are you looking at?
Shark repellent.
What are you looking at over there?
Oh, it's shark repellent.
It's like literally shark repellent.
Yeah, it's a bag of pellets that apparently are like.
We'll kill a shark or something.
Well, it makes like a dark cloud to where
it's like
the sharks can't
It's-
find you, so
Okay.
you can get away.
It's what do they call those? Evasive
Yeah,
countermeasures.
I got one of those from my boss the other day. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with shark repellent?
He gave that to you?
Yeah.
Where'd he get it?
I don't know. He bought like a case of it.
To give them to randoms?
I guess.
I bet you don't have one of these.
It's like a door prize or something when you
Totally.
He was probably drunk. My friend Mike bought a Peloton bike the other night when he was all drunk on the phone.
Oh, Jesus. He's thinking he's never going to use it. I got to have it. Then I'll be skinny.
Dude,
That's like
he
5
has
big
lost
ones.
about 70 pounds over the past year, so he does
good.
look quite trim.
Oh, good.
But, now that all the gyms are closed,
Shit.
he started running. Oh, this is a good one. He's got a couple of dogs, and he pays for dog walkers. and then pays to go to the gym to work out. And I go, dude, why don't you just fucking walk your dog for your fucking workout instead of paying for both?
Pays for a treadmill.
He's all, it's a different kind of workout. And I'm like, whatever, dude.
All right, if you say so.
Dude, I don't work out. I'm fucking tired after work.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm lucky that I have a physical job.
Yeah, damn, you're skinny. You know how do you stay skinny and drink beer?
I don't know.
You're lucky with it. You must have a metabolism thing.
Yeah, some metabolism, genetics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob used to give me shit. He's like, dude, you wouldn't look this good if it's all metabolism. Or it's all genetics. If your dad didn't look so good, you'd have to work out to look as good as you do. And I'm like, fuck you, man.
But I don't, so fuck it.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Yeah.
Well, plus
gift,
I'm
don't hate on
busy
it.
all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
But whatever. I try to eat and get fat, but now that I'm over 50, I notice my gut's kind of hanging over my belt a little bit. And I'm like, should I worry about that?
How old are you?
56.
Your gut's not hanging over your belt.
Right.
You want to see a gut hanging over your belt? I can show you.
I used to have a 6-pack.
Well, I got
now
one,
I
I'll
got, now it's a little soft.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, it's the sign of being comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Get up on that thing.
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah,
There he is.
there he is.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matt Lukin has arrived.
I just arrived. Good to be in town.
Boy, are my arms tired. Yeah.
When I was, I don't know, years ago when that band, the Cosmic Psychos from Australia,
Yeah.
first came to town, and I had a couple of them in my car, and I'm like, driving down like First Avenue. And Billy, the drummer's like rolling down his window and hanging out, saying hello to all the women. He was like, hey, Bill Walsh, just arrived from Australia. How you going?
Good to see you.
I'm like, fuck, dude, don't bring fucking attention to my car.
I don't have tabs, man.
Oh, that reminds me, I got my tabs in the mail the other day, and I got to get them on before the end of the month.
And it was only $800. Jeez.
Dude, what happened to the $30 tab?
God.
Where did those go?
Taxes.
And fees.
Excise,
So,
yeah.
like, at one point, Matt, I saw a picture of Mark Arm in a Hawaiian shirt, and he was dancing with Charo. And were you potentially on that gig? Were you in the Mudhoney lineup when Charo graced the show?
I wasn't in the building. I was across town, but it was in Las Vegas, I think, from what I recall. You went and saw like a Charo show ever after.
She didn't get up with Mudhoney.
Huh?
She didn't get up with you guys.
No.
He was over there.
No, I think they were
Yeah.
they were just kind of like doing the tango together, and I saw this like, really large, glossy, full color picture of it, and I'm like, that's so cool that you're dancing with Charo.
I think it was one of those, where you like go on a cruise or whatever, and you get your picture taken when you walk off.
Right.
I think it was one of those kind of things where you get your picture taken with Charo. So Mark spent the $5 or whatever.
And what I loved is Charo's like, she's like, oh my God, it's Mark Arm from Mudhoney. You can just see it in her eyes, and I'm like, this is so cool.
But is she like a wax thing, or it was really her?
No, it was really
It was
her.
her.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
okay.
it was her.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, baby.
yeah.
It's not a wax museum thing at all.
And she
It's
still
like-
looked pretty good.
She did. She
Dude,
did.
she's Charo. She can look good forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't understand how she could play the guitar with those long fingernails.
It seems like it would be impossible. It's like against the law of physics. Yeah.
Maybe she wasn't really playing the guitar.
Oh. That's
Kinda
the
like-
reality. Yeah. Oh.
Like
Somebody's
Elvis.
behind the
ignore the
stage or-
guitarist behind the curtain.
Right.
Okay. All right. This is right.
We're going to get sued by Charo's
She's an
people now.
entertainer. She's an entertainer, not a guitar player.
Yeah. She just looks good handling the guitar.
Dude, her hips look pretty good in that picture from what I remember.
Do they?
Yeah, she's doing the whole thing.
Yeah. So do you remember was Charo performing? It wasn't like a random Charo sighting.
Yeah, no, I think she was performing, and he went, and I chose to go back to the hotel and eat pizza with Dan.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, he was out and about.
Yeah.
Urge Overkill was playing with us as well, so I think they were probably out and about in their
fancy lad wear.
velvet jackets. Like, let's go out on town.
Yeah, we're in Vegas.
I remember playing some show with them where they were opening up, and we were sharing the same dressing room, and they were I could hear them in the bathroom doing vocal exercises, you know, kind of stuff, and I'm like, how fucking gay is that? I got them fucking warming up. Fuck, man, just step out. And
Right. It's like,
and then after a while, I realized, oh yeah, maybe it is
Important.
important to do a little. Because I remember playing some show. It was like an outdoor show where we were opening for Sonic Youth, and it was on a beach, and kids were dancing around, and it was just nothing but dust. And I'm breathing dust, and I step up to the mic to do my first shift of backup vocals, and all that was coming out was like, and I'm like, ah, shit, maybe I should have done some vocal exercises. And I turn around and I'm like, I need a drink of beer. And someone had stolen my fucking 6-pack of beer off the stage.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh, it's dead in the water.
That's low blow. You can't even go replace it yourself, and you can't fight someone off of your beer.
Yeah.
It was-
You're sort of doing something. You're sort of occupied here.
it was the band that opened for you guys, and they were like loading out, and they were like, yoink, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Lukin. Enjoy your set.
And then I bitch at Bob. I go get me some beer. And he's like, oh, fuck you. I got things to do. You go get some beer. Dude, for Whitaker was definitely a good tour manager, but he wasn't very helpful.
As a roadie.
Yeah. Well, as a roadie or as anything, I'd ask him for something. He's like, fuck you, you go do it. But he'd take care of most business. But like, yeah, I need to add someone to the guest list. And he's like, well, you walk up to the front door and put them on the guest list. And I'm like, I don't want to.
That's good
You're
work if you
supposed
can
to
get
do
it. That's crazy how he's able to.
Oh, and we'd let him get away with it.
That's what I
'cause
mean.
He was a friend.
Yeah.
He's
It's
like,
like, oh.
yeah, fuck you.
It's brilliant.
I don't know how he treated REM because he worked for them for a lot of years. So he must have kissed their ass way more than he kissed our ass.
At least a little bit more. Well, by that point, you figure he's probably got a runner to do the stuff that he doesn't want to do that they ask him to do.
Yeah, he just got to count money at the end of the evening.
Right? As long as you're good
So
at
like
counting.
he was like tour accountant for REM, and then came down and hung out with you guys.
Huh? What? No. No, he was our roadie, and then he was our tour manager. Then he became our manager, and then like when we kind of started splitting up, or when I quit, he quit Mudhoney at the same time, but like got hired as the tour manager for REM.
I see. Okay.
And he was on, and it was when Peter Buck lived in town. And he was on, I don't know, salary or whatever. So when they would not be on tour and Bob would be in town, Peter Buck would call him up and like, hey, could you build some raised beds and
Just put him to work.
garden for yeah, put him to
Hell
work.
yeah, man.
Or babysit my
Get to work,
daughters.
slacker.
Yeah. So he'd be on call the whole time, and I'm like, that must be great to be, whatever on salary. But it's like, he's like, yeah, well, I get calls in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden I gotta go over and babysit some kids.
Just put a nail through my thumb. Swinging a hammer. Is he still doing that? What is he?
Bob?
Yeah.
No, well, now that REM is retired.
Oh yeah.
He did some tours with some bands, tour managing, like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and some other bands. Nico Case.
Yeah.
I think that there might have been some issues with him not getting paid as much as he was supposed to, but he hates it. He doesn't want to go on the road anymore, but he does it because it's the only thing he's really qualified
It's his
for.
skill set.
Yeah.
It's good work. Again, it's good work if you can get it, man.
Yeah. Well, he owns enough property that he can just get revenue from that, because he owns a business or a building in Republic in Eastern Washington,
All right.
where there's a brew pub.
Oh, great.
So I think he makes dough from that. Plus, I think he owns all of his property outright.
Yeah.
So all he's got to pay is tax.
Yeah.
And he bitches about, I don't have any income. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, whatever.
Yeah. You don't have any outgoing either.
Yeah,
So-
right. Yeah.
so you're sorted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd love to be in your
You don't need income if you don't have outgoing. I'm stoked. I think we're
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like,
Matt. That's it. That's all we do.
You don't want me to punch somebody?
Rick, Rick, can we get our?
I didn't know that was on the table. If you're into punching people, we got a small line of people out front who like
After your workouts with Nick Cave, I feel intimidated, so I don't want to really.
yeah, well, that's awesome. So I think after you punch somebody, we'll say this has been Seattle Today.
This is Lobster de la Hoya, here to annoy you. If you ever been to the Paramount Moore or Neptune Theaters in Seattle, Washington, you know just how special they are. I'm asking you to save your stages by donating at stgpresents.org/donate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with Jeff Redding. I am here with Dan Droz. My name is Steve Martin. Welcome to Seattle Today.
That's right. That's right. Seattle Today's here. We are so proud to be joined by the illustrious Mr. Matt Lukin.
I didn't know I was going to be in the graces of Steve Martin.
The Steve Martin. Yeah, right?
Matt, when I found out it was you, I was like, all right, call my driver.
I'm coming.
I'm coming down.
Matt, have you played here before?
Yeah, I think only once. It was like a grunge fest. It was like Nirvana, Tad, and Mudhoney.
I think you guys called it Lame Fest.
Oh, Lame Fest.
I think it's how that.
Not
Yeah,
Grunge Fest. Yeah, that was a different.
I think it was called Lame Fest.
Yeah, Lame Fest. And then we did played together and like months later in London, and it was Lame Fest UK, where it was like because Tad and Nirvana were finishing up a tour while we were just going over there, so we played a show together in London. It was Lame Fest UK. But I remember it was a bit of a wild show. There was the security here was having a tough time keeping the kids off the stage.
Yeah, boy.
And keeping us from fucking with the security while they're doing it.